exposure to morphological instruction. Most English teaching focuses only on grammar, maybe speaking, and other skills. They don't really focus on suffix "an." So I decided to make this topic for my research. Most English teaching aims to explore students' comprehension of the suffix and to highlight the importance of teaching derivational morphology in improving vocabulary and word formation skills. The suffix "an" has a specific function, which is to change adjectives or nouns into verbs that show processor or changes in conditions. Forms such as like dark to darken, rough to roughen, and like maybe light to lighten, often poorly understood by EFL learners because they are more familiar with affixes that are inflectional, which we know that suffix "an" can be in derivational, can be also in inflection. If in inflection, it can be like in verb 3. It doesn't change any meaning. But in inflection, in derivational, it changes the meaning from like light to lighten, from adjective to verbs. Despite its simple form, understanding the use of the suffix "an" still requires sensitivity to the meaning and the context of the sentence. In English language learning at the university level, morphological aspects such as the suffix "an" often receive less attention. As said by Novienti et al. 2020, show that the focus of learning is generally more on sentence structure, tenses, or reading and speaking skills. So students often do not realize the importance of understanding word formation. As a result, their understanding of derivative word formation is limited. So this phenomenon was also found among EFL students at Tadulako University based on preliminary observations. Many students were still confused or hesitant to use words with the suffix "an." EFL students are more confident in using words with common affixes. Additionally, maybe like "and," "ing," suffix "ing," or maybe just suffix "ed." They just recognize some of those suffixes, but avoid suffixes such as "an" because they are considered confusing or unfamiliar in their academic practice. These limitations in understanding suggest gaps in the learning process that warrant further investigation. So based on the description that I have said, this study will focus on the understanding and using suffix "an" through words by EFL students at Tadulako University. This research is expected to contribute to the development of a more thorough and applicable English teaching method. Teaching morphology that emphasizes the practice of using derivative suffixes can strengthen students' ability to form and understand word meanings appropriately. The use of the suffix "an" as a word formation process in English plays an important role in supporting students' morphological competence. Yet its comprehension among EFL learners has not been sufficiently examined. So based on the problem statement, the research questions in the study are as follows. To what extent do EFL students at Petaluma University understand the use of the suffix "an" in English word formation? And the second is, what are the common difficulties faced by EFL students at Petaluma University in understanding and using the suffix "an"? These research objectives are to measure the level of understanding of EFL students at Petaluma University regarding to the use of the suffix "an" in English word formation. The second is to identify common difficulties experienced by EFL students in understanding and using the suffix "an" appropriately. The scope of the research is focused on the EFL students at Petaluma University. Based on the background, I found that also students at Petaluma University are lack in recognized suffix "an" that in changing verbs, adjectives to verbs. Also, investigates understanding of the suffix "an" used to form verbs from adjectives. The third only includes commonly used adjectives, because not all adjectives can be switched into verb by using suffix "an". Some adjectives should be formed to noun first, and then we can add the suffix "an" after. But in this research, I only add like several adjectives that can be used to switch the adjectives become verbs by adding suffix "an", and also it excludes all other adjectives not verified as productive or commonly touted. The fifth, respondents, active English education students who have taken morphology or related courses. The significance of the research. This research can be significantly filling research gap, and also the practical significance, because by knowing that they don't really have unfamiliarity in recognize suffix "an", as the teacher, as the lecturer, we can relate that to reality, the fact that students can't really understand that suffix "an" can form adjectives become verbs. And also a theoretical contribution. To the development of morphological acquisition, theory in second language learning. The focus of the suffix "an" allows the development of a more specific and measurable linguistic analysis of derivative forms, which are often underestimated but have an important role in effective communication. Thus, this research is not only useful for the local context at Petaluma University, but also relevant in a broader academic scope.
Skip it. Sampai malam kita kalau kau baca.
Move to the chapter 3. This research using descriptive quantitative and also method to provide. This research will be using descriptive quantitative method to provide a comprehensive understanding of UFL students' comprehension in suffix and usage in English words. The quantitative data are collected through tests and questionnaire with selected measuring and describing characteristics of a population based on numerical data. The population in sample. A population refers to a group of individuals who possess shared characteristics. So in the research, comprises 225 EFL students who are taking 5th semester from the English Education Study Program who have already passed the morphology course. And the sample will be the participants are drawn from 5th semester students of the English Education Study Program. It's even class A and B who had already taken morphology course, and it comprises 30 EFL students. Technique of collecting data. The test will I will be creating a written test and administering the test to the students, and I will be collect and organizes the students' answer sheets for further analysis. And the questionnaire, the first, the researcher will be preparing a set of questionnaire questions using a 4-point Likert scale. Second, administers the paper questionnaire to the students. Third, all answers will be encoded into a numerical form using the SPSS program. And the technique of analyzing data. The test reviews the students' answers, separated valid data from invalid data. And the third is determines the most dominant arguments and roles that students found difficult to use. The second is questionnaire. Inputs the responses from a questionnaire into the SPSS program. Responses are categorized into 3 aspects. Sorry. The first aspect is the introduction of the suffix "an", the second is the formation of words with "an", and the third is the understanding of the meaning of "an". The last is the results on all 3 aspects are compared to determine the type of difficulty most dominant. The research schedule will be conducted in 5 weeks, started 5 weeks only. That's it. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll give it back to the moderator.
Thank you, Anisa, for an insightful presentation. Next, we go to the Q&A session. I would like to invite all participants in here to ask a question. If you have any question, please raise your hand and say your name.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is I'm number 811 296. My question is, what is your reason that made you decide to do this research?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. The reason why I choose this topic is because I like learning derivational process. So suffix "an" is one of the suffix that includes in derivational process. So I think that's the reason. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for the question, Tika. Next, we move to the next session. Next, I would like to invite our peer reviewer, Professor Fonda, to provide some feedback and post in your question. Prof, I is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Congratulations was asked to present your proposal for try to explain them clearly and easily understood what has been stated here. One argument to your background is that the term common affixes in English department, for example, because you are going to investigate this phenomenon in English department, so you have to ensure yourself that the term common affixes is and common suffixes should be elaborated in the background as well as in the literature review. When we talk about common suffix or common affix or whatever you say common, it means that it is always related to the highly frequent use of words. So I found in your background you talk about common difficulties and suffix "n". However, in the scope and in the significance of your research is not been highlighted or emphasized. So definition of key terms, for example, is the place where you define what is meant by common suffix, common suffix. So it's not only suffix "n". The suffix "n" is one of the endings in English that can be used to change an adjective into a verb. So what is the importance of using common there? So sometimes you have to understand that definition of key terms is the term related to the field when you are collecting data. So data will be focused on that definition. So if it is only suffix "n" is one of the ending in English, it's kind of broad sense, it's in a broad sense. So I'd like you to be more specific what you mean by suffix "n" by adding the word common suffix "n", for example, in your background. To help you understand that, probably you have to see the syllabus of the morphology class or morphology course, so that you see what are the emphasis of the teaching, what are the objective of the teaching there in relation to the suffixes and affixes. That will be helpful for you to do it. So then you can define yourself what will be the main concern of the research, and that's the importance of key terms, because we will see later on as the result in the data collections. And then when we talk about the questions, to what extent do we have asked students at Harvard University? So I don't know exactly. Are you going to specify the students' level, or you just want to say, oh, they are in high level, medium level, or I don't know? Because if I try to relate it to the test that we have used in the appendices, then I'm asking myself that probably you don't need to have this kind of test. Yeah. Because in this kind of research, you can also use the kind of documentation. Yeah. However, you are interested in only suffix "n", then it might be important, but this does not mean you are able to generate the findings into morphology, because it's only suffix "n". Yeah. So it depends on you. So To what extent do your students at Talib University understand the use of the suffix in? And then the second thing that you have to understand when you talk about only the change of the part of speech or the class of words from adjective to verb, it means that you are still talking about word. Then, if you talk about word, then you have to go further to what we mean by understanding or knowing a word. So let me ask you a very simple question. So what do you mean actually, Anisa, by saying understanding suffix in forming verb? What do you understand about that? If I say that, for example.
What do I mean by saying that is suffix to let EFL students know that that suffix "n" can be used to form adjective, to form verbs from adjective.
Yeah, but I mean, if they can form it, if you can form it, what does it mean when I say I know or I master words that derived from adjective by ending "n" to become verb? Verb is still a word. So what does mean? What do you actually understand about if I say I understand or I know a word? What does it mean?
That means someone recognizes that adjective words can be formed,
No, that's not the right answer. When we talk about words, for example, because you say a study of suffix "n" usage comprehensions in words. So if you talk about words, and then if you say you understand words, you have a good stack of vocabularies, for example, that means you have to have 4 implications. So related to the spelling, related to the pronunciation, related to the meaning, and related to the usage in a sentence. While your test, for example, it's heavily dependent on word only. And no sentence at all, no phrases. So what I meant there is that if they know verbs derived from adjective by adding "en", then they have to be able also to use them in sentences. That's what I mean. So if you consider that important, then you have to refine, you have to review back your test. Meaning that there will be the ability of the students to use verb derived from adjective plus "en" in sentence. That's quite a principle, I think, when we talk about words, because I'm referring it to the title. Huh? So this is comprehensions in words. So if you understand what I mean, that's the way you do it. And then if you talk about words to be taught in context, it's always in sentences. So we will never say that you teach the word or particular word contextually without making it into sentence. So you say bottle, okay, everybody knows this is bottle, and everybody knows water. Water is in the bottle, okay. But then when I say I watered my flower this morning, then you will never know the meaning of the water there. Is it the same as the water you pour in the bottle, or they form a different meaning, for example? So it's up to you. I mean, just to deepen your understanding about the meaning of words. So if you really like to do it, go ahead. But if it's not, it's up to you. It depends on the syllabus, or it depends on the focus of the teaching of suffix "en" in morphology class. So that's the reason actually why I asked you to see and to read the syllabus. Okay, that's the first comments to your background. And then when you talk about common difficulties, so are you going to see or to measure the difficulties of the students based on what they have done during the test, or you are trying to see what errors do they make in the test items that you, which one do you like actually? You like to do? Is it the errors, or when they cannot answer your questions, for example, the test item, is that mean difficulties, or is that mean errors for the students? What does it mean for you?
For the test, I will be
All yours.
Determined the most.
Apa itu artinya? I will determine, sayang.
I will be.
I will determine.
Oh yeah, I will determine
Kau.
the most dominant arguments and roles that students found difficult to use in sentences.
Okay. Why I ask you about that? You have to define them in the definition of key terms. When you talk about common difficulties, what do you mean by common difficulties? Because if I ask them to do something and then they make some errors in the sentences or in the spelling or whatever, is that referred to difficulties or error? That's what I mean. So you have to be more specific also in the explanations or in the terms that you are using, right? So research questions is the focus that you have to do in literature review, in focusing your study, and particularly in defining your instruments. Is that clear? Okay, good. So don't worry, I ask you questions just to ensure that you know what you are doing. Okay? And then in chapter 2, it seems to me that you took some words that have been probably used by previous researchers. Yeah? For example, like katamba. So far, I know katamba is ikan. Yeah? Today I
Ada ketamba. Nah, beda. Aku sepupu. Ada ketombo.
Ada ketombo, ya.
Ketamba yang merah.
Soalnya saya tukang makan ikan.
Sama. Ketamba tahu ulang-ulang sih.
Ketombo, ya. So, I mean, if this has been investigated by previous researchers, for example, then my next question is that, is the items that you have used in the test based on those findings that have been, or based on the items that have been used?
Actually, the first time I done this research, actually I want to do the interview. So there is like in the second study, it's conducted by the first study conducted by Nurliana under the title, as you can read there, and also this study is using qualitative method, but I changed it into quantitative. So, but I haven't changed the related studies here. So I don't follow the first one.
It means that actually you are not ready to have this seminar yet, because you didn't change it yet. It means that you have to change it, or are you going to change it, or
I am going to.
I don't know. But I mean, I'm just asking you about that so that you know what you are doing. Actually, my real question is this: if Katamba, for example, has done this research, did he? I don't know. Katamba is male or female? I don't know. Did you know?
What?
Katamba is male or female? Man or?
Male.
Oh, how do you know it?
I read the names.
Okay, so if you know it, fine. Then you see, did he use test item as well to get the leveling of this suffix N mastery?
For katamba here, theoretical basis.
Yeah, but there are some examples here. And then how about Morita? Did he, Morita is a man or woman? I'm on page 18, darling. Okay. So, did she also use test, Morita, in her research? And how about play? No, don't need to worry about that. This question is only to make sure that the items that you have made in your test, in your instrument, is valid or not.
It is because I have read the Morita. Morita also use test.
Okay, and then the
And
test is adapted or adopted.
It's adapted.
Huh? If it is adapted, then you have to say adapted from Morita.
Oh yeah.
I didn't say anything.
It's actually Morita here. The citation.
Okay, but you say you adapted. What do you mean by adapted?
The words here based on Morita. So it's that's
I mean the test items. Is this test based on Morita or
It's not based on Morita.
so based on whom?
Based on
For example, aspect 1, the recognition of suffix N. How did you classify this? And then part 2 is related to aspect comprehensions of suffix N. How did you classify this? Is based on Katamba, Morita?
the what?
The classifications of this test item. From 1, you said recognitions of suffix N, and then part 2 is comprehensions of suffix N.
Oh, it's from Katamba.
Yeah, you have to make sure that you know the differentiations of suffix N.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this one is important for you because if you make this kind of test items, for example, and then you try to measure the ability of semester 5 students in the usage of the suffix N, and if they say, oh, sorry, Nur Anisa, we never studied this before, what will you say about it?
Sorry, sir.
We never studied this before.
Suffix N.
What will you say?
I will say that in morphology there is suffix N that we can learn. So, what semester are you? That don't know what suffix N can do.
Yeah. So what I actually mean there, tell a little bit about that in the background. The background of the study is the place for you to bring readers to your own situation, to your research context. They can say, oh, we never studied this before when the score is very low, for example. Kan mahasiswa kalau skornya rendah kan malu, no? Baru bilang, orang tidak pernah belajar itu. Nah, then you try to evaluate the syllabus and then make sure that it is actually covered in the syllabus, right? Talk a little bit about that. Maybe 1 or 2 sentences is okay. That's not, yeah? Right. And then how about the questionnaire? Are these items also used by previous researchers?
For questionnaire,
you don't need to open the question. I'm just asking you if you have read previous researches, then you can say, oh, I adopted, and that's it. Adapted.
Yes.
So what change have you made?
The ability. Sorry, sir.
What change? When you say adapted, it means that you make a change.
Yes.
So what change did you make?
The ability of the EFL students to identify the presence of suffix "an" in words, and also the ability to form words correctly by attaching suffix "an." And
So have you tested the validity? No. The validity of this questionnaire and this item? Have you tried? Because you say you adapted.
I haven't.
You haven't. Okay. So actually you need to do it. Okay. Right. That's about the test. And how about chapter 3? I found that something interesting in chapter 3 because you say in the research design you selected students, okay, and then you say in the sampling technique you use class A, right?
Yes.
And then you say in the question item you say class H. What do you mean by that?
Actually, I will be use the samples.
Apa itu I will be used?
Ah,
Kalau
I will
katakan
use
bis kamu
the sample-
digunakan.
I will use the
Siapa yang mau
sample
menggunakan kamu?
in class A and B, but in even class. So it's H and
So this is confusing because I cannot go into your heart. If I can go to your heart, I can understand what is in your mind. You know? But this is written. I'm just reading what is written, or what was written. Okay, so be more specific because I try to see this kind of
Yes.
very little thing, you know, little challenging. Yeah. Okay, good. So if you understand this, and then you try to explain it properly. Yeah? Then the last comment is in the way you want to analyze your test and questionnaire. I don't know exactly if you can use them both using SPSS. Huh? If you can use them using SPSS and you plan to use SPSS, then the steps in the SPSS that you have to explain. So in one of the paragraph you say that you are going to use SPSS. Huh? Okay, so then explain the steps that you are going to use by applying this kind of software. That's the importance of using one software in analyzing things. Then you have to ensure yourself that you can choose the right software so that you can explain the step-by-step procedures to use this analysis. Okay, if you can do that well, I think that's it. Well done. It's quite clear what you're writing here. Only I need some more clarification later in the definitions of key terms. Okay. Well, Anisa, I think that's all that I can argue and provide you with suggestions. And good luck for your future research. Thank you, moderator.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Yes,
Thank you,
invite
Prof, for
yourself.
the question.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I have to leave this because there's a meeting
Okay.
in jurusan.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Can I leave it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Prof.
Ada rapat di jurusan. Baru tadi malam bikin.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, let me invite myself. Okay.
Bikin di meja saja.
Yeah.
Nah, saya langsung ke jurusan.
Invite yourself.
Yeah, I invite myself. Sorry. So, hello, Anisa. So, actually, this is just additional comment, yeah. So, as Rob kinda asked you about the research question. So, let me ask you again about the research question. The second research question, you asked about what are the common difficulties faced by EFL students. So, what do you mean by common difficulties here?
the common difficulties meant here like whether they can recognize the word or not.
Okay, so if you say that, so actually you can see and determine the common difficulties from the text. So, and next question, what if the students' response in questionnaire contradict to the result of the test? What if the students' response in questionnaire contradict to the students' result of the text? For the example, in the text result, it is identified that the student cannot identify A, B, C, yeah. And the student's response in questionnaire, it is contradict to the test result. What if the student's response in questionnaire contradict to the student's result of the text?
I will maybe I will still maybe combine the contradict and the contradict response, and then I will use the is SQS.
Okay, so you have to consider this one, yeah. So maybe in the questionnaire, the students say they can identify, yeah. But in the text result, it is seen that they cannot identify. So you have to consider this one. And next, about the sample. So actually, there is only one class, yeah. So actually, your research design is quantitative. So you need to consider consideration for quantitative research in a single class. So talking about the sample size, a single class may not be enough for produce a generalizable result. Yeah, so I recommend you to use more than one class. And talking about the representative, so can a single class represent a broader population? If they cannot, so you have to add more than one class. So you can use more than one class. Satu kelas itu kayaknya cuma 20. And yeah, your research question asks about the student at Tadulako University. So you have to consider about the sample size because your design is quantitative. So you have to consider the single class. And I recommend you to use more than one, yeah. And next, let's see the blueprint of the test instrument and also the questionnaire. So the question is, why do you use the same aspect of comprehension in the blueprint of test instrument and also in the blueprint of questionnaire item? Why do you use the same aspect of comprehension? What is your reason?
So that I can know that the reason is just like it's just around those three aspects, and so that it's easy also for me to make decision which one is the most complicated.
And let me give the last comment, yeah, about your research schedule. Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am.
data collection. She said that it will be done on September. So. Ini dia mundur ini dari Oktober ke September. Ya, data collection, data analysis, interpretation, semuanya September. Okay, that's all from me. Okay, next I invite the supervisor, Sir Dr. Mutarnadun MD PhD, to ask question and also to give suggestion.
Well, thank you very much, Ma'am, the acting chairperson and co-supervisor. Well, Anisa, what should I call you? Noor? Nisa? Fitri? You've got long name. Yeah. Well, did you jot down all the suggestions, corrections, comments from reviewers? Did you jot down? Did you record?
What?
Did you record?
I didn't.
But I am recording.
Yeah, good.
Okay, anyway, go on. A study of suffix n uses a comprehension in words by EFL students, etc. What semester are you going? The fifth semester. Morphological class.
Not exactly morphology.
So
but
what class?
the class that has passed the morphological course.
Yeah, morphology and non-experimental research. What does it mean? It has nothing to do with experimental study. Your research, your project. Okay. The use of suffix, not the use of the suffix. The use of. I was impressed by Professor Konder Manurung comment and additional suggestion regarding the concept of definition. Well, which class, the change of per class, not only from affixation. Many words in English, I would say, can have two word classes without affixation. Like, for example, mother. Mother is a noun, and you can use mother as a verb.
Yes.
She is mothering the children. Parent, they are parenting. Husband and wife are parenting the children. So the parent is noun and can function as verb. Depends on the context. That's what Professor Konder meant. Okay, next. The study evaluates the extent to which students. Well, academic writing, we were taught academic writing before being sent to overseas, being sent overseas for further study. We attended academic English. When it came to writing, our lecturer, our instructor, always reminded us not to use repetition. For example, you use a word like research, study. You can use research. For example, in here you mentioned, in contrast to the previous two studies, this study, so you can use this research to avoid repetition. That's what is meant in academic writing. The writer should use language variety to show that they have lots of vocabulary stock when they use language varieties, varieties of words or vocabulary. Okay, katamba. I think you need to have more than one. You need to cite more than one author of, let's say, research studies. In here, you just rely much on katamba, the author. Kalau di Palu katamba ikan, bagus pupu dengan katombo. Katamba warnanya merah ya, katombo. And I love the fish. Anyway, okay, next. Let's go on to your test. Prof. Konder didn't correct many test items. Have a look at your test. Your test, the answer is very easy to find the correct answer. For example, number one, which of the following words contain the suffix "n"? There's only one. Let's say why only one word, widen. So it will be easy for students to answer the question. You need to have tricky answer, tricky, ya. Jadi kalau ada jawaban di situ yang Anda tulis suffix "n", cuma satu di situ, widen. Kecuali siswa yang betul-betul bukan bodoh, tidak ada siswa yang bodoh. Yang mental retarded, itu yang betul-betul dari lahir sudah mental retarded. Kalau orang bodoh tidak ada. Kecuali memang kasih cacat mental retarded. Ada yang lambat, ada yang cepat. Kalau orang di luar negeri bilang fast and slow student, bukan bodoh dengan pintar, tidak ada. Fast and slow. Kemudian mental retarded karena cacat bawaan. And then which word shows the suffix "n"? Golden teeth. Sudah ada jawabannya. Tolong Anda koreksi situ. Which of the following words that has suffix adjective? Darken, boys. Sudah ada juga clue-nya very clear, ya. Petunjuknya, clue is very clear. Harus agak samar-samar dan mengecoh, ya. Which of the following, which is derived from broadly. Ini ya, the test items. Where did you get the test items from? Where did you adapt? Did you make adaptation or Anda adaptasi dari buku atau no? You made it by yourself? Oh, harus baca ulang, bisa di AI Anda lihat kriteria membuat soal, pertanyaan dan jawaban. Well, that's it. Now back to chairperson.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Now,
So you have finished.
let me read the official report of research proposal with acara the end research tanda Stambuk A12122073 Program Studi Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris telah menyelenggarakan seminar proposal penelitian pada hari Kamis, tanggal 30 bulan Oktober tahun 2025 pukul 10.00 WITA dengan judul A Study of Suffix and Usage Comprehension in Words by EFL Students at Tadulako University. Hasil penilaian, proposal telah cukup baik, namun masih perlu disempurnakan dan dilengkapi dengan instrumen sebelum dapat dipergunakan sebagai dasar untuk melaksanakan pengumpulan data di lapangan. Tidak perlu seminar lagi. Okay, finally, we come to the end of this seminar. I would like to say my deepest gratitude to the key reviewers, supervisors, participants, and Anisa for contribution and participation in this seminar. With this,